Hey guys, it's Destiny, and in today's video, we're going to be going over which 5-star from the standard banner is the best one and which one you may actually be interested in picking. And without further ado, let's get straight into it. To begin, I'm going to talk about the beloved Bronya. Love this character so much. She is a wind character of the Harmony class, and she is an amazing support to have on your team. The reason why this is because her skill is able to dispel a debuff from the ally, and also advance forward their actions by percentage, increase their damage by percentage for a turn as well. By advance forward actions, this basically means that a character may basically be able to act immediately again after Bronya uses their skill on them, assuming that they keep the forward action by 100%, then basically they'll be able to attack immediately again. But if it's more like 50 to 75%, then they will still be able, I'm sure, to act within that turn once again, but maybe it's not immediately. Regardless though, still an amazing supportive character. Her talent also allows her to advance her action, and her technique increases all allies' attack for a few turns. This is really good because overall, Bronya is just an amazing buffer to have on your team. Being able to attack multiple times in a turn, being able to have someone who can get rid of debuffs on the team, because if you have like an attack debuff on you or your defenses are lowered, that would always not be really beneficial to have. So it'd be really good for Bronya to be able to just get rid of those debuffs, increase your damage, increase the crit damage, increase your attack. Bronya is really good for making your offensive characters, like your main DPSs, like for example Cilent, really strong. And Bronya overall is probably one of the best supportive characters in the game because of what she's able to do. Additionally, if you are enjoying this video so far, make sure to hit the subscribe button and let's carry on. Now let's get into Himeko. Himeko is an AoE damage dealer. She can hurt adjacent enemies, and her ultimate hits everyone and recovers energy. Himeko has a unique thing to her called Victory Rush, and basically whenever a toughness meter or the white bar above the enemy's head is broken, Himeko gains 1 charge, and once she has 3 charges, she does an AoE follow-up attack. Her technique allows her to create a fire AoE field, and when she enters battle, it increases the fire damage by percentage for all allies. Himeko is really good in the case of basically being able to do AoE damage, and her Victory Rush can also be pretty beneficial for just getting on extra damage onto enemies. I'm hoping though Himeko is a bit buffed from CBT3, because Himeko wasn't necessarily the strongest character in CBT3. I believe even Serval is able to do more damage than her, and Serval is a 4-star. So I'm hoping from CBT3 to now full release that Himeko did get buffed a bit. And if she did, I'm sure she'll be perfectly fine. But of course, I personally feel like Himeko she's decent, but I don't think she honestly offers as much as the other 5 stars on the standard banner. And that's just my personal opinion. I still heavily want Himeko though, because she is definitely a gorgeous character. I did play Honkai Impact, so I definitely have a sweet spot for Himeko, regardless of how good or not good she is in the game. Now we have Welt. Welt is a really good character, and I could basically sum up what he does for you guys. He's an imaginary character who is essentially able to be a sub DPS on your team with how much damage he does, and he's also able to slow down enemies. Welt's main goal is basically to slow down enemies and make sure they take forever to act in a turn. He can imprison them, and imprisoning enemies allows for their actions to be delayed, their speed to be reduced, and Welt also has a really good technique as he can slow enemy movement speed by a percentage upon battle. 100% for imprisonment, which delays movement speed even further and has their actions delayed. Welt's goal is just to make you never move. Basically, just imagine like making all the enemies into turtles. And no, the turtle does not win the race here. All the enemies basically turn into turtles, and Welt just allows you to, 1, he can do his own damage. 2, he's also able to allow your teammates now to go before all the enemies, and now your teammates get to basically kick their butts. And I feel like Welt is awesome for this, and Welt is also our only imaginary character as of right now. I believe his name is Locha or Otto. He will be also another imaginary character, but we do not have him yet, but he will likely be a limited banner in the future, since he was in the other CBTs. But right now, Welt is our only imaginary, but he's honestly really good because of what he allows your teams to do and is a really good debuffer. Now let's go over Clara. I love Clara, she's so adorable. Clara can taunt enemies, reduce the damage taken upon her, and also do frequent counterattacks. Clara's main goal is basically to taunt the enemy into attacking her, and then she counters back and she also kicks your butt. I think Clara is awesome because you definitely would want to pair her probably with a character like March 7th. March 7th's shield, which this is unlocked in March 7th's later traces, or rather talents. When she shields an ally, the taunt on them is increased, so enemies will be more likely to attack that ally. Clara would love this because Clara already does her own taunt, and March 7th can do like an additional taunt. Clara will likely be the most hit teammate on the team during this. Because Clara has her own defenses and attack, she's able to basically take hits and hurt you back really hard because her frequent counterattacks, as I mentioned, her counterattacks do a lot of damage to enemies. And Clara, in my opinion, she has her own niche, but she's definitely a hidden gem in my opinion. I feel like she's really good in certain game modes, like the end game like modes. I feel like Clara would be really good to use. And yeah, that's what I personally think about Clara. She's really good. If you guys do get her, honestly, congrats, because I really want Clara. Now let's get into Gepard. Gepard's actually the character I pulled during the CBT3, and Gepard is actually pretty good as well. Gepard is able to freeze enemies, he can put shields on all allies with his ultimate, and he's basically able to revive himself, which I think is kind of crazy. He can revive himself with his talent. And what I mean by this is, let's say there was a killing blow that was meant to basically OHKO him. Yeah, no, he's not going down. He's going to revive himself. And this can only happen once per turn, but he's going to revive himself. And then also for his technique, it applies shields to all allies. So Gepard is just able to apply a lot of shields onto allies. His main goal is to give everyone a shield. In contrast to March 7th, March 7th has to go one by one, but Gepard is able to do it for everybody. Of course, though, it is restricted by his technique and ultimate, but honestly, I think it's okay because Gepard will still be able to shield everyone instead, and he doesn't have to use as much skill points as March 7th, because March 7th will want to skill pretty often if you are primarily focusing on shielding allies. But with Gepard, I mean, he can use a skill, he can use normal attacks, he could do a mixture, because the main thing you want from him is the ultimate and not rather having to use his skill in order to shield allies. So Gepard's really good. He's a really good character, and I'm sure in like endgame like modes like Simulated Universe, Forgotten Hall, he'll also be really good. Your sustainability will be through the roof, and he's just an amazing defensive character for shields. Now let's go over Yanqing. I don't really have much to say about Yanqing, but he is pretty strong, I will say that. In CBT3, his DPS was not actually too far off from Sealy, so Yanqing definitely could do a lot of damage. His ultimate is going to be his main point of damage from what I've seen, and his ultimate usually crits enemies since the crit rate is increased by quite a lot. The crit damage is also increased by how many sword links he has. And overall, Yanqing is just able to basically untaunt himself with the sword link. So when he has the empathetic sword link, basically he's less likely to be attacked by enemies. His crit rates increase, his crit damage is increased, and when he attacks an enemy, there is a chance for him to do a follow-up attack with his ice damage, and he's also able to possibly freeze enemies. When an enemy is frozen, they will be taking ice damage over time each time they remain frozen. When Yanqing receives damage, though, the empathetic sword link will disappear. His skill gives him this sword link, and his technique is able to allow him to do more damage to enemies if they have an HP above a certain threshold of his max HP. He does have a good amount of speed, so the likelihood of him going first in a turn is definitely up there, so he can possibly use his skill immediately, and then because of that, he'll be able to basically de-taunt himself from enemies, and this will be really good. And Yanqing overall can just do a good amount of damage. For a single target damage dealer, he's really strong, and if you guys do get him, pretty good option as well. He's a really good single target DPS to have. Next up, let's go over Bailu. Bailu is probably, actually no, not probably, as the game is coming out now, Bailu is definitely one of the best sustainability characters, and she's definitely the best healer. Bailu's able to heal allies quite often, and also they have outgoing healing, and their healing can basically continuously go on. She can heal all allies with her ultimate. She can invigorate allies, and invigoration is pretty good because that's how you get healed. And when invigoration allies also get hit, the ally does get to get healed by Bailu's max HP. Bailu's max HP is really important because that's how basically the healing is going to be scaled off of. But Bailu is just really good. She's able to heal for a lot. She's also able to revive somebody in a battle. This can only happen once, but she can revive somebody in a battle. So if you do lose your main DPS, you do have a second chance now with this, because typically enemies are just gonna go for whoever they can. And Bailu is not really, I don't believe, is going to be a heavy target because she has so much HP. You might want to make her a little defensive as well, but the main thing you want is a bunch of HP. So then she heals a lot for your allies. So Bailu's really good, really good healer, really cute. Love her. And that'll be it for the standard characters. I hope I summed up what all the standard characters are able to do, and I will be releasing guides for some of these characters later this week. I am working currently with EO on releasing character guides this week. I will be doing half of the standard roster and he will be doing the other half. And I'm really excited for you guys to see it because we definitely worked really hard on these guides. And I feel like there'll be so much help for you guys who do want to know how to build these characters and also know, okay, what do these characters do in detail? And yeah, I hope those guides do help you guys out. And of course, before you leave, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Let me know in the comments down below, though, which character do you guys want the most from the standard banner? And I hope all of you have a nice one. Peace.